Pharaoh, how are you doing?
Good. Thank you very much, Luke. Glad to
Now,
be back on your channel again.
I'm very excited to have you back on my channel. And I don't know about you, but Christmas is approaching and I'm so far behind on buying presents for my friends, family, and loved ones. Are you in that same boat? Or
No, I'm actually a very organized person and I've got everything. The thing is I have a large family, so you have to write a list in like November and then get everything sorted beforehand. However, there's always room for a bonus gift. That's what I have to say. Always space for a little something extra.
So you might say if you're like me and you're disorganized, you need to find something last minute and get that Christmas shopping done. Or if you're like Pharaoh and you're hyper organized, but you just want that extra thing to push this Christmas over the edge. Either way, you might be scratching your head like, oh, there's something missing. I feel like there's something in the ether. I feel like I'm about to learn about something that might just solve Christmas 2024. What do you think?
Definitely, something is in the air, and it's this.
Good news. I don't feel like you're 100% on board with the with the opening gambit I've gone for here. Yes. So this is the announcement of the board game that you and I have been developing for the last few months. And today we are unleashing it to the world. And I'm very excited. How are you feeling?
No, very, very, very happy about it. I think we should tell the story about it as I see it. Maybe I'll kind of
please.
it. And I guess this comes out of your little stream series. I say little; it was exceptionally popular. It feels literally like a lifetime ago at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it was only just over 6 months ago, but it was world changing. So it feels like a different era before and after the Gauntlet. My interview series, award winning.
And then, do you want to just explain to people again who didn't see the original stream series what the point was?
Yeah, that's right. So in the Gauntlet, which is on this channel. In fact, the last video I put out on this channel may even have been one of the Gauntlet interviews from around Easter time. So every episode, I had a guest on, and the guest had to go through a series of rounds in which they had to pick a category, and then within the category they had 3 questions or 3 statements, and then they had to argue for or against. So it might be something like, I don't know, the West is in decline, and they would decide either I'm going to go for yes, the West is in decline, or no, the West is not in decline, and I'm going to make my case. So then I would argue against them for 10 minutes and give them a score, and then after 6 rounds, I totaled up their score, and we found out whether or not they were at the top of the high score table. And surprisingly often, they were.
The ever-inflating.
Well, I think what happened there, Pharaoh, was everybody was, all the guests were watching the previous episodes, and they were just learning. It was like the evolution of tactics of the Gauntlet. So later guests were just objectively better.
Well, I'm still salty as one of those earlier guests.
Right at the one of the first table. Guests, and right got absolutely destroyed. According to this high score table, you were one of my worst guests.
I am. I still am. I can barely talk. My verbal IQ is so unbelievably low, according to that.
Yeah. In the chat, we've got fans of the episode with Jonathan Blow. Yeah, okay, so that's some scene setting. So I did this.
I did want to say at the time, I thought this was genuinely a revolutionary idea, and again, hats off to Luke as a real kind of idea pioneer. And it was just it was a really interesting format. And
it got people talking about stuff that they normally don't. It was fun because you'd get people on, and sometimes they'd be in home turf. So for a round or two, they might be saying stuff that you'd heard them, they had talking points. And then suddenly, wham, out of the blue, you'd have them on a topic that you'd never thought that you'd hear them discussing. So it was it was a way to settle people and relax them, and then take them out of familiar territory. You know.
Also, I do feel like I don't know what your schedule was like at the beginning, but as time went on and some other people saw it, you actually got bigger and bigger names involved because they wanted to, get on it, and they saw how much, how much fun it was to have.
Jonathan Blow, for example, said he was slightly dubious when I pitched the concept to him, but then he was surprised how effective it was. He really thought it worked well.
And I think apart from the horrific point system, which I won't mention again, the thing is, it was just about like a bit of a laugh and a bit of a fun, and we sort of jokingly mentioned at the time, I remember, maybe something needs to come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I see it, maybe 3 months down the line, Luke contacts me and says, I've got something. I've been working on something, and you've been cooking something up in the brain laboratory.
The same, like back in the day, it was Bell Labs who came up with all these inventions that molded the modern experience. I've got my own Skunkworks department, and they came up with the original Gauntlet concept, but they didn't rest on their laurels. They went back. They got out their test tubes and the lab rats, and they were just trying everything. And then one day, one of them, put his hand up. Mr. Luke, I think I've got a winner. So I, came down to the factory floor and said, "All right, show me what you got." And so yes, I thought, how can I take this core concept of discussion on a broad range of topics and transform it from being a stream format to a thing that people can try at home? I guess I had two major audiences in mind, or situations that I was targeting. One was basket weaving. I thought what would be awesome would be some kind of container that you could get out at a basket weave and create the kind of Gauntlet environment, but as a group discussion. And then the other one was, I thought, what about a family gathering? Could the same thing be used? Could I create it in a way that would allow you with your friends to have the kind of discussions you might have with your mates down the pub? And then in a different situation, you want to argue with your family and fall out at Christmas, don't you? Isn't that what the season is really about?
Well, you're going to do that anyway, Luke. That's my, that's an inevitability. So you can contain it. It's contained in the format of a game. I do think that most Christmas board games are designed to act as kind of catalysts for arguments for that specific reason. But yes. you sort of kind of like when I first saw what you'd kind of pulled together, I was struck by like how much more evolved and advanced it was from the initial concept. But it kind of took all of the best bits. That is, speaking on a variety of topics, and that kind of the challenges around that and the fun around that. But then you took it further with but by making it firstly a team activity.
Yeah,
you got rid of the world's worst point system in the world.
Right. Everyone complaining about the point system, that's gone.
Exactly. And adding some additional layers of kind of strategic and tactical play in the form of the hidden roles and like the knights and dragon cards, etc. So I was kind of like shocked that within only 3 months, I feel like not only did you manage to come up with an entire game that worked, but it wasn't even just like a rehash of the streams. It's kind of like way more advanced than that. So how do you say it was, again, if you were trying to explain to someone who's seen one of the Gauntlet streams, how would you say it's different?
One of the things I wanted to introduce was some kind of gameplay mechanism that gives you plausible deniability during these discussions, where you can be making an argument for gameplay reasons, but you might be making the argument because it's your actual opinion. And I think we all know what it means to be in a conversation where you're saying something with a twinkle in your eye to imply that you're jesting. But there's also, maybe it's useful for you to get out that interesting, unpopular opinion and just float it as a sort of fun moment. So this was my problem that I was wrestling with. How do I create this circumstance in which there's this argument happening, but you take some of the sting out of it, you take some of the potential falling out and discord out of the situation, because you add this layer of, well, it's within the safe confines of the game. And the other thing that I love gameplay wise is hidden role games. So people might have played Mafia or Werewolf or Secret Hitler or Avalon. All of these games are, I think, brilliant. So I thought, let's take these two great things and find a way to mold them together. So the gameplay is such that every round there is a topic, much like the original streams. There'll be a question under debate, and that question will be on the floor for maybe 5 minutes total, maybe only a couple of minutes of discussion. It depends how fast you want to play. And some people will be arguing for, and some people will be arguing against. And then, now I must make a confession, Pharaoh. There was a fleeting moment when I thought, then we'll get everybody in the group to vote on the decision.
Rank democracy from Luke here.
I know, but moments later, my sense kicked in, and I realized there must be a king. So, in any given round, there is a king, and actually, all the players are simply trying to convince the king. And then, at the end of the round, the king makes a decision, one way or the other. But the decision the king makes will determine whether one team or other is heading towards victory. And much like in many of the hidden role games, there is a team that is in the majority but has less information, and then there's a team that's in the minority and has more information, and they can kind of collaborate. So you've got a cat and mouse game between what I'm calling the loyalists, as in they're on the side of the king. So the most of the players are loyalists, and everybody's pretending to be loyalists. But then there's this small number of people who know each other, and they're on the conspirator team, and they know at any time how to get to their victory. But they have to be careful not to give it away to the other team. By the way, as I'm explaining this in broad kind of game conceptual terms, you might be thinking, this is very complicated. How does the game work? So I just want to be clear. I'm not explaining how the game works. We probably will do this in a minute, but don't try and get your head around how do you play the game right now. I'm just saying this was the path from A to B. This is how we got from from the concept towards the product that we are announcing today.
I don't think it's being too complicated.
Okay, good.
One thing I liked about the king was the fact that you're having to convince one person, and again, you were quite neutral, I would say. We need a name for the original Gauntlet. I don't know, like.
Well, yes, I'm specifically in my mind distinguishing Gauntlet, the stream series, from Gauntlet, the board game. So in Gauntlet, the award-winning stream series, I was quite neutral.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you were just trying to go off that. Well, I don't know what your family's like, but for example, if I was to do it, various kings, you'd need to argue in a certain way to convince them. So I think that's already kind of an interesting dynamic. So you could play through with the same debate and question cards multiple times, and depending on who the king was, they might have a slightly different reaction to your arguments, etc. So again, I thought that was quite a fun dynamic. And again, I was instantly struck by the hidden roles, which again, hidden roles games. I've played. Okay, my wife was heavily invested in the theatre group at university, and I would.
Did they play Mafia?
They constantly played Mafia and Werewolves, which again, I didn't mind at first. But I mean, they would smash it quite a few times. But I'd never played any.
My experience has been that drama people and writers and creative types play Mafia, and there's a lot of storytelling. Overnight the narrator is coming up with all kinds of creative flair, whereas the people that I've more often hung out with, programmers and mathematicians and physicists, play Werewolf. And it's all, they've got spreadsheets and probabilities in their heads, and there's no storytelling whatsoever.
But it's fun to kind of like sort of codify some of these hidden role games, because again, they're often I always found them to be a little bit janky in the fact that everyone's got their own house rules and everything's always slightly different. So this is kind of like a distinct way of going about it. So I think I don't want to big it up too much, but I think that I think just the game mechanics are revolutionary, I would say, and very unique in the marketplace. In terms, again,
I think without bigging it up too much, we can say this is going to change the world. This is equivalent to Steve Jobs announcing the original iPhone. This is like the demo of all demos when they first showed networking and the mouse. Here we are at a turning point.
In the board game world, I think so, because again, I'm a real big board game fan. Ever since a young child, I would always play board games with the family, and then I have like a relatively sizable collection of. I don't want to go too much into it and reveal the true nerdiness of the collection, but quite a substantial collection, and I haven't encountered anything like this before. So anyway, so that's kind of like the initial intro. So Luke reached out and said, "Look, I've got these cards. I've got this game. I've been playtesting it. It was relatively well refined at that point," and then said, "What do we think about trying to put some nice art on the cards?" And so that I kind of stepped in at that point and said, "Look, why don't I try and come up with some kind of creative for the set," and then basically bashed out in the course of a week a couple of designs. Again, I think the game was there, but it needed a bit of flavor and a little bit of
as you could imagine, being a programmer, the initial concept cards that I'd made, I generated them with some code that I wrote, and it was completely flavorless, right? It was just bog standard text with no decoration. Every card was just the boom, boom, boom. There's the functional stuff that you need to make the game to kind of crank the handle. And in a way, I was thinking, this will do, right? I could make do with this. Maybe we can just throw a little flair on top. But once Ferro got involved and started just bringing the cards alive, I would say, like breathing life into them suddenly the game had this personality and flavor that really made it just like explode. The feeling that I got was from, oh, this is an interesting idea, to, wow, this is a thing that I can love and absolutely be proud of to show. This is not just kind of concept, but now it's become a whole like a brand. This is brand sounds very corporate. You know what I mean?
I don't like brand, but like what
what it is it
concept.
feels like it feels like the game and the cards have a fun and like a cheeky.
That's it. Yes.
Awesomeness. There you go.
It's not too serious. Again, there already were some kind of ideas in my head from the initial kind of creative. I mean, even the name, the Gauntlet itself, offers up various ideas, and then obviously the kind of importance of knights and dragons in it gives it this kind of medieval feel. So I wanted to kind of come up with this. It's almost kind of like you've discovered some kind of illuminated documents from the medieval period, or
right.
Like so a lot of the designs are kind of like, I would describe it as like, I don't know, quite like medieval grotesque. But if you know anything about medieval grotesque, like the kind of gargoyles on a church, sometimes they can be dark, but sometimes they can be quite fun as well. Again, sorry to mention, I'm gonna carry on mentioning Ruskin in every single stream. Ruskin describes one of the nature of Gothic to be grotesque. And he says there's two different types of grotesque, the horrific and the sportive. And I quite like that idea of the sportive grotesque. This kind of like, this is why you have kind of guys like showing their butt cheeks on a gargoyle or something like that. It's kind of like, it's kind of gross, but also quite funny at the same time.
There is something like a lot of gargoyles. I know they are said to be these creatures that are scaring off demons or whatever. But there's somehow the way that they're sculpted is kind of got a cuteness to it. I don't know if that's a fair observation.
Yeah, 100%. Like, again, if you see kind of like whatever horror films from today, where again everything's kind of covered in blood and it's more savage, there's a kind of a more sharpness to it, while everything's
more like Casper.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not a good reference.
It's kind of like, I think it's stylized. It's non-threatening in that kind of way. Like you wouldn't really be scared by it, but it's sort of visually recognizable as a fearsome thing. And that was kind of like some of the initial ideas I had. So anyway, we joined forces together, and also want to do a big shout out to Andrew from Luke.
We fished out another expert from our community here and on Discord, and he was absolute brilliant third part of the creation team, always putting in top work, turning things around on a dime to meet our incredibly intense deadlines, but producing stuff that was just top quality. Every time we asked something, it came back better than we asked for. Is that fair?
Yeah, and Andrew worked on a lot of the kind of the layouts, fonts, a lot of the kind of preparing for publishing,
technical stuff, looking at the specs that we needed to get it done.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that was, brilliant team collaboration. Now, I wonder whether now is the time to drop.
Should we hit them with a? Yes, I was thinking the exact same thing.
And then maybe we can show everyone some of the cards, and again give people a feeling and a flavor of what it's like to play the game.
Exactly. Okay, so if you've been listening to the stream in the background, this is the time to dash back over to your phone or load the browser tab back up so you can watch what's going on, because I'm going to play the advert that we've created for this, which I imagine I will also release on the channel as a separate video. But shall I play it now?
Do it.
Okay. Let's go full screen. Looking for a game that will turn those dull moments into wholesome friendship fun? Yes? I'm throwing down the gauntlet to boredom.
Humans can't exist without experience.
The Gauntlet is a speaking game where you put forward the best arguments to some of life's trickiest questions.
It is acceptable to talk during movies at home.
Absolutely.
That's a toughie. You might have the gift of the gab, but it's the king who decides who wins. It's the king who decides who wins. Work with your teammates to see if the honourable loyalists will hold firm, or if the conniving conspirators will have the day.
Because it's the only way that we then
Gauntlet, the board game. Only $39.99. Email gauntlettheboardgame@gmail.com. There we are. And can you believe it? Only $39.99, Pharaoh? That's a steal.
Yeah. Again, if you're buying like a proper board game card game, you're looking for those kind of prices. But this is handmade, lovingly crafted. All production is made. Actually, it's not only in the UK. It's all from Essex as well. I've realised. So we worked with a local.
That's true.
Manufacturer in Colchester, and then you may notice the 3 metal figurines.
Yes,
have all
which I have. I have some right here.
Yeah, so there are physical representations of the king.
Let me. Shall I hold them up to the camera?
Hold them to the camera.
By the way, somebody's asking in chat, do you ship to mainland Europe? Get in touch. So once again, if you want to buy a copy of this, the way to do it is you email us, and I just want to make sure I get the email address correct, because it would be awful if I said it wrong. I just set it up. You email us and we can discuss both where we can ship to, which the answer is probably more or less anywhere, but we want to make sure you're aware of the shipping times, and also which way you would like to pay, because we'll have a variety of options for that. So I'll tell you what, let me skip forwards to the end of the video again. There it is. Gauntlet, the board game. Only $39.99. Gauntlet, the board game @gmail.com. So there you go. That's how you know the email address. Gauntlet, the board game, all one word, @gmail.com. You email that email address, and we will get back to you and discuss, where you are and how to get it to you and such.
Yeah, but I'd imagine so. I think. Can we? Sorry, I know you just got rid of it, but that was quite a good shot actually, just to show what you get. So it's kind of like a large box.
It also plays when I click on that. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. And so these are actually there's a 2 boxes, just so you can see the front and back of it. It's not a normal pack of cards. What's the name of the kind of card size again?
Is it double poker?
Yeah, they're called double poker, but they're basically...
Here is one of them. So you can see, I actually probably have some normal sized cards somewhere, but
scale.
My giant piano playing hand is dwarfed by the size of this awesome card. Look at it compared to my head. It's almost the size of my whole body. Hang on. Do I have a banana or something?
Yeah, banana per scale. There's
I need a coin
cards inside the pack.
Here is a for people who have iPad Pros. There is an iPad Pro case. Here's the ear device next to it.
Yeah, there we go.
Or a mug. Hang on, this is a normal size thing that people
There we go.
understand the size of, don't they?
Bigger than a mug. I like that. It's larger.
Yeah, there you
than a
go.
mug. So
that's actually really nice when you're holding them to have a nice chunky card, so you don't feel like you're peering at this tiny thing with the little question in the middle.
And it's a real quality. It's got a lovely gloss finish. It feels like a proper card. This is not a Luke's printed at home job and then cut it out. We worked
these
with a
are
proper
printed by
card
professionals.
manufacturer, and they did the box for us as well. So you get 120 cards and then our 3 figurines. So these are these figurines. I hand sculpted the masters, and then I created a special high temperature silicon mold, and then basically I've used a lead based alloy to kind of create these figurines. So you've got one representing the king. So obviously, whoever gets the king gets a little token. There's one for
focus, does it?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. We've been there. You go. You can sort of see it. We'll get some high quality photos like during the week, I think. One for a knight and one for the dragon. And I guess with these, I was kind of inspired by the Lewis Chessmen. If you've ever seen them, it's a very famous medieval chess set with kind of these kind of like silly faces and strange poses, but also because it's a lead based alloy, it's these are very weighty. So again, I wanted to give that feel of like something from like the 1970s or 1980s. Again, I remember having kind of like little metal figurines as part of board games.
They're really cool, and the design is so unique and so amazing. But we should point out we are coating them in plastic, so you don't need to worry about the fact that there is some lead in the pewter mixture. Right? They're safe to handle because we've sprayed them with plastic.
Yeah, do not consume them. That's the they're not to be eaten. That's the only thing.
not to be eaten as an entire. Maybe if you have children, like little children, keep them out of reach. Right.
Yeah,
that's not often a warning people put on board games. Right, it contains little pieces.
Yeah, but I hand forged all of these. So every single one of these has been handmade by myself. Again, it's kind of like this guy's my favorite. I call him the Pancake Knight. He's got this really flat head. He's super cute. These figurines you can just put up on the side. These are little miniature artworks you're getting.
Right. This is actually if you want to get in on the ground floor with some, limited run Ferro artwork, you're getting that in addition to the game. It's a 2-for-1, this product. Not only are you getting some, near priceless little figurines that you could put on the mantelpiece, you're also getting the soon to be taking over the world parlor game. I'm really struggling with I don't know how it knows that my face is here, but the face detection on this camera is out of this world. Right.
It's so good. So good. It's just
I know. If I just lean closer. No. There we go. It worked.
There we go. So
it's still pretty in person. It's very easy to understand what this figure looks like, but the way I'm handling it is a very weird angle, so I'm probably not letting you see it the best. This is I'm imagining watching the last 2 minutes of this stream versus a QVC or something where this is very inept. The quality of work that's gone into making this board game should not be compared to the quality of workmanship of my camera handling at this moment.
Marketing ability is like 2 out of 10. The board game quality is like 9 out of 10. And again, just in terms of like the manufacture, Luke was very adamant from the start. It's got to be quality. The first thing I did was like, oh, we should go to China and get some stuff done. And he was like, no, I want everything to be super high quality. Yeah. Anyway, that's the figurines. So you get the 120 cards plus the figurines. How long does a game last, Luke? Would you say?
How long does a game last?
Yeah.
I reckon there's a little bit of variety because one of the things that you can do as the king is you can decide, or the group could decide to set a timer for each discussion, or the king could just decide each round as they feel to bring the round to an end. So I'd say if on average the round is a couple of minutes, or you actually set a timer for say 2.5 minutes, your game should finish in somewhere between half an hour to an hour. If you wanted to, you can add more cards, or you can have slightly longer discussions and it could be longer, or you can kind of adjust. You can put in fewer cards and have quicker discussions and shrink it down. So depending on how long you've got, it's flexible. But think of this as a sort of half an hour to an hour's worth of gameplay time.
Yeah, and again, I think that's perfect for having some friends around, having a quick game, and then going off to have some food together, etc. Yeah, this is the dragon. It's based on kind of like traditional medieval dragons that only have two legs.
There we go. Look at that. Now it's looking professional.
It's just fully saturated.
I think we should reshow the advert because I do a lot more slick product shots if you look out for them in the advert.
Yeah,
should we rewatch the whole thing?
Let's watch the advert again, and then I want to show off the cards because I think that
we can go through the cards and start to explain how the game actually works. By the way, Fumintari, which is a great username, by the way, says, I have already submitted my request. So I don't know if you're the first. I'll check the emails after the stream, but we might have had our first request. How many people do you need to play? Minimum of 5, up to 15. That's the range. 5 to 15 players. I mean, you could possibly push it higher than 15, but I would say at that point you're stretching. Maybe buy 2 packs at that point. You might need a few supplementary. We'll explain the rules again, but there's these objective cards. Every player has their own personal objectives as well as the team objectives. And once you complete your objective, you swap it out for another one. So you have a few of those objectives at once. If you've got too many people, there's not going to be enough objectives to share around. So that's why there's an upper limit. The lower limit is because, as with all people who have played hidden role games before will realize that you need a minority and a majority. And if you've got few enough people, the game just doesn't functionally work. It's literally the logic of the game falls apart. So.
You need someone to be the king. You need someone for and against, and then the roles fundamentally. So, like again, I mean, I think if I were to say what was the disadvantage of the game, like it's not really a disadvantage that there aren't really that many kind of big multiplayer games in that kind of way. Again, in board game spheres, but like you do need a decent sized group of people to play.
Yes, that's true. This is a game for a group of friends or a family game, rather than a couple of people who've met up. There are games that are great with just two people, 3 people. This one, you could maybe find a way to play it with 4 people, but I'd recommend 5 to 15.
Yeah, and again, I think this is why we're thinking of it for like basket weaving sessions, because there's always 5.
My dream is what I would love is if somebody buys a copy and takes it and plays it at a weave. Please let me know if that happens, because that was kind of the initial dream when I first was coming up with the idea. So it would be really cool to hear if that actually ends up happening. Let's watch the ad again. Eh?
Just one last thing. I want to say that also it's good for Christmas and families. And again, this is something that anyone can do. And I think there's something very accessible about it. From like, you need to be a certain age, but you could just jump in and have fun as well. And so I think it's perfect just to kind of, why don't you come along and join the. There's not that much pressure. Is would you say? Do you know what I'm saying? I think when you talk about speaking games, I think people worry about, am I going to be on the spot, etc. I think it's very accessible.
Yeah, actually, interestingly, unlike a lot of hidden roles games where people end up having to lie, having to be put on the spot, that there becomes this inquisition attitude where people find it nerve-wracking. And this doesn't actually have any of that, because if you don't want to take part in that kind of play, I'm actually thinking of all the hidden role games that I've ever played, and I've played a bunch. And this is actually unique compared to all of those, in that I think it's completely up to the players whether they want to push themselves forward aggressively, or if you want to just sit back and not say anything for the whole game, you actually can get away with that. Or if you just occasionally want to kind of contribute something to the discussion. So it's probably the most accessible hidden role game I can think of.
This is what I was thinking, because again, this is why I used to hate Mafia, because again, I'm not a very good liar. I wouldn't describe myself as a natural liar, and also I'm not very good on the spot in that kind of circumstance. So
there's no pressure.
That always put me off.
No need to lie.
But exactly. So again, I think this is perfect for. This is why we're launching it before Christmas, because just imagine you're seeing a family, you rock up. What should we do? It's Boxing Day. Everyone's had too much food. Just have a game of the Gauntlet.
Have a game of Gauntlet. How natural does that sound? It's like it's almost become a verb. Let's after lunch we will retire and Gauntlet in the drawing room.
Exactly.
You can imagine it's like the new Hoover. It's the new Google.
You actually have to say I'm throwing down the Gauntlet. Why don't we?
Would anybody like to? I'm throwing. That's it. When you want to play a game, you don't announce it in any other way. That's actually in the terms and conditions when you purchase a box. That you have to agree to use the right vernacular.
Right. Add again.
Let's play it.
Looking for a game that will turn those dull moments into wholesome friendship fun? Yes? I'm throwing down the gauntlet to Border.
Humans can't exist without experience.
The Gauntlet is a speaking game where you put forward the best arguments to some of life's trickiest questions.
It is acceptable to talk during movies at home.
Absolutely.
That's a toughie. You might have the gift of the gab, but it's the king who decides who wins. It's the king who decides who wins. Work with your teammates to see if the honourable loyalists will hold firm, or if the conniving conspirators will have the day.
Because it's the only way that we then.
Gauntlet, the board game. Only $39.99. Email gauntlettheboardgame@gmail.com.
There's so many good
Gauntlettheboardgame@gmail.com. Sorry, Sperry, go ahead.
No, I just want to say that because we worked. Luke came down to the house and we storyboarded the idea for the ad beforehand, and that was really, really fun. Unfortunately, I was not there for the shooting of it, but then that's led to some hilarious stuff, because I said, look, why don't you start off the shot with an Auburn scepter, and then like obviously the costume department managed to source the scepter, but he managed to find an orange for the orb instead. I love that. That's a great touch there, Luke. I just noticed that.
I also want to draw attention to this shot, which goes by in a flash. In the you kind of blink and you miss.
I'm throwing down the gauntlet to Border.
Look at that. And then, right when it comes back up, crossfade, seamless. This is like
Okay.
ILM level special effects.
Exactly. This is what you get.
Also, my room is covered in splintered pieces of Tupperware from the many. I had quite a fun time, Pharaoh. I smashed up many boxes with the word boredom on it with my hand in the gauntlet. That's the the official eponymous gauntlet, and I can confirm that glove. I by the way, I'm interested in chat. Does anybody know the reference that we're making with that shot of the glove smashing the Tupperware? I just want to know how long the internet memory is of the people in chat. So
It's
special
literally,
prize.
again, that's a lifetime ago. Please comment,
Yeah.
subscribe if you know where what the references are. We've weaved in many little humorous. I see. There we go. Thank you. Already.
There we go, Robert. Well done. The Witten. That's correct. The first ever Witten. There was a famous moment when. What was the context? AA was trying
It was
to.
AA's unpopular opinions, and they had put them into a Tupperware box and his weak and feeble hands could not open the Tupperware, and then
he was saying what
nowhere. Yeah,
he was saying like the beta thing is people drum on the top of boxes. How would an alpha open the box? And the answer seemed plainly obvious to me. The alpha way to open the box was just to smash it to smithereens. None of this unclipping the edges. And so I seized the moment. What is it? Carpe diem. And I
Tupperware.
Smashed with my fist the Tupperware box, which poor old Maven had bought. And I tell you what, there was a cheer erupted in the room. All of these, young men were spoiling for a moment of high drama in the middle of this, what was quite an academic conference, but a bit of theatricality. And that moment was
violence. It was
cemented in
violence.
internet history.
Can I just say that the guy I was next to, I will not name him, said something like Apollo when you did that. Or something like that. It's like, literally made me laugh out loud.
AA and Poe, who were sitting next to me at the time, for the rest of that segment, were literally shaking
on edge
in reaction to the bits of plastic flying past their head.
Everyone knows you're such a nice guy, Luke, but we all know, as I've got to know you, you're a wild card and a deeply dangerous individual.
Well, as Pharaoh has observed, there is a chaotic energy within, but I like to think of it as I control my potential for violence.
Exactly.
But that is a more honorable state than being inert. I have the capacity for action.
Exactly.
And I'm ready to go. And I think it is the same spirit that led my fist down to that Tupperware at the Witan. That same heroic action somewhere in my soul that led to the original Gauntlet streams and then led to the creation of this board game. It's all one and the same kind of thrusting my will onto the universe.
Exactly. I just want to say a couple of other things about the game. Right now, we've got 30 copies in the first edition, so it's a limited run. And also, we think there's some real opportunities to have like expansion packs and boosters, but we're only going to bother doing that if we sell out. So that's the kind of challenge on you guys. If you like what you see, support us, and we're going to support. We're going to create loads more stuff. But can we just bring up the cards because I don't have much more time.
Oh yes, sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Well, look. Let's open the box. The pewter figures normally would be inside there, and then you can get the cards out. There's a instruction leaflet, and then there's these cards. You'll notice there's a few different types, as you can see by the different backs. So the majority, the largest number, are the debate cards. So an example of a debate card, in fact, this is the one that we used during the advert, would be this one.
Do
if
the
it's
PDF.
prepared to be in focus.
Do the PDF.
I'll use my Bible again. There we go.
There we go. Yeah,
it is
perfect.
acceptable to talk during movies at home. Actually, I have the document here, Ferro. I'll share it as PDF.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. And again, just in terms of the design, you can see that I think I wanted to do something that was like super anti AI art, super anti kind of like complicated gradients, etc. There's a rough graphic quality to everything. Note the kind of the tasteful, the font selection, etc. But it's a thing of real beauty, and everything's been custom created for this. One
of the things that I think really speaks to me, and I think anybody watching this will feel the same way at this time of AI art. This feels so human. That this is clearly the creation of a person rather than of an algorithm. This has been lovingly handcrafted by Ferro.
Yeah, and both of us. That's what we've been trying to do. Is again, it's this kind of like.
There's definitely been a back and forth, and Andrew deserves credit as well.
Organic. Yeah, exactly. It's super organic.
So just to explain what's on the card. So the king will draw the card, and the biggest bit of text here is the topic. So the king draws the card and reads it. Should we pick a different one? Because there you go. You should always tip, right? There's some that are silly like that. The man should pay. This one people will remember from the streams. Entertainment is the primary value of cinema. So the king will draw the card and read that out loud. Entertainment is the primary value of cinema, and begins a discussion. Everybody's chipping in with their opinions. Shall I explain what happens next, or
you keep going.
Okay. Yeah. So at the end of the debate, the king will decide whether their decision is to affirm or deny. And if so, they will have said that affirm is knight's sword and deny is dragon's tooth. Now, some of the people will have objective cards, which is something like knight's sword black or dragon's tooth grey, or it might be dragon's wing white. So when they were hearing the original thing, if they heard that one of the sides lined up with their objective, dragon's tooth, and they're like, oh, I've got dragon's tooth white, then they'll say, okay, well, I guess for this question, I'm going to try to argue on the deny side. And then when the king makes his proclamation, he'll add a color. He'll add white or gray or black. So if your objective card lines up exactly with, suppose at the end of the debate, the king says, I don't think entertainment is the primary value of cinema. So my proclamation is deny dragon's tooth black. And then somebody says, oh, dragon's tooth black, that matches my objective card. They then get to claim the debate card. And that means they gain the power at the bottom. So in this case, the power is that they can block another player's power as it's being used. So the king will hand the debate card to whoever's won that round, and they keep hold of that. And they have the ability to use that power at any time that they like. And so that's the end of that round. And the king gets passed along to the next player. And then you've got 2 piles of debate cards. And you have to draw from, there's either a dragon pile, which is marked by the dragon, or the knight, right, is the knight token. So you put the knight token next to one of the piles. And if it's a firm, you pick the next card from the knight deck. And if it was deny, the king will draw the next card from the dragon deck. But very important to note, the conspirators will know that their victory card is in one or other of the decks. So the conspirators will want to push the king always to deny, for example. They might say, well, we know that the dragon deck is the one that's got our victory card in it. So we're going to hush, always going to try and push to the deny side. Whereas the loyalists, they don't know which deck's which, but they might start to look at people's body language and figure out and go, I think the conspirators are those guys. And they always seem to be arguing deny. And once they've figured it out, the ruse is up because the loyalists are in the majority. So they can just absolutely, take over the game and win. So that's just a real quick run through the rules. As always, when rules are explained, they seem a little bit baffling the first time you hear them. But once you're playing it, I promise you, the guys who shot the advert with me, my friends, who you saw in the advert, after I finished shooting the advert with them, I left them to it and I gave them the box. And I didn't say you have to keep playing or anything, but they were really intrigued and they started playing. And they were then playing it for hours. And they found out the next day they'd just been playing it on into the night and having a great time. So did that explanation make sense, Ferro? I don't know if I
think it's really, really good. And again, when I first heard about it, I was like, a debate game. I was imagining something like, okay, this is again nerdy back history. I was part of the debate society at school, for example, and there you have like cringe, you take positions and you have to do like a 20-minute long debate and then get counter questioned by the other people. It's not like that at all. It's almost like you're having a friendly chat about stuff, and that's why it's so accessible and so fun in the fact that again you can throw your stuff in. But again, this hidden roles is the real twist and the spin on it that makes it interesting. Is one of your friends trying to push you down a pathway? What can you do about it? And again, trying to hit some of those objectives as well. You're going to want to, if you want to hit your objective, you're going to want to argue in a specific way at the same time. What else to show? Maybe more of the cards.
Yeah. Do you want to see the roll cards? Let's bring those up.
Yeah. And
these are great.
Just in terms of the debate topics, again, I thought they were super accessible. So this kind of shows that you're.
These are the bad guys. If you get one of these at the beginning of the game, you're a conspirator, but you mustn't tell anyone. Super secret.
Just a note on the imagery for this. I wanted them to be placed next to each other at one point, so the loyalist is running away from the conspirator who's about to shank them. That was the joke behind it. If you scroll,
there's so many yeah, there you go. So if you look at that guy, he's like looking across whilst running away. Yeah, he's like looking back. Is that right?
Yeah, because
this guy's wielding his sword forwards.
Yeah,
there's so many in jokes. I promise you, if you get one of these packs in your hands and look closely, Ferro has hidden so many little Easter eggs and references in these cards. You're going to want to study them all. Well, I know you have to run pretty quickly, Ferro. So, is there any last things that we should say before wrapping up here?
No, just the I think again the topics are super accessible, and again you can choose what like you can always take stuff out of the debate cards. For example, there is no way that I think there's like one or two God related debates in there. If that's too intense, I know that's just too intense for my in-laws, for example. I wouldn't use them in that circumstance.
Sure. I'd recommend that you don't use all of the debate cards in the game. I think in the instructions I suggest, I can't remember how many it is. It's like 8 in each side. So 8 plus the victory cards. So you can, if you want, you can look through and pick the debate cards that you want, or you could just take a couple out that you don't want to do. I did try quite hard. So there's a couple that have kind of Christian-ish references, like God is, faith. I can't remember what they are, but I thought, I don't want to just say it because I thought quite hard to make sure that if you are religious, you can argue either side of the debate in good conscience. And if you're an atheist, you could also argue both sides of the debate, because partly how you have to play the game is a little bit of how am I going to interpret the meaning of the words on the card? And you really can think of a clever way to interpret the question. You can always quite easily argue either way on the card just by saying, oh, I'm not reading, I'm not reading it that way. I'm reading it the other way. If I bring up the objectives again, I could maybe give a better example, but anyway, somebody asked in chat, what information do you need in the email? I'd say for a start, just get in touch and we can start a conversation, a back and forth. But what would be really helpful is just tell us roughly where you are and if you've got a preference for how to pay. Is probably it. Or if
we're accepting bank transfer, PayPal. Are we doing bitcoins? We're taking Bitcoin.
I'm sure. Well, and also I was wondering about we probably should have set this up before the stream. We'll let you know all of the options, but we may well set up an Etsy or something in a bigger store like that. So if you feel more comfortable having the storefront of something like Etsy, although they take a we will discuss this.
They take 10%. I'm being upfront about it, so it's more expensive. It's better to go direct. It's better for us to go.
Yeah,
direct.
let's cut out the middleman here. We're already having because we're producing this at low volumes. To manage to squeak in at $39.99 is a feat of calculation, I tell you, and us doing quite a bit of elbow grease.
Large Excel table with a variety of different suppliers on there. Let's just say.
And I'm not entirely sure that our numbers are correct. We may be making a loss here, Farah.
I mean, that's the amount of time to make those stupid figurines, Luke. I'm not even kidding. Just like...
We're all working at way below minimum wage over at Lambda Enterprises.
I ended up. I started out by using this basic campfire stove, and by the end, I bought a proper butane gas canister.
Well, you almost burnt your house down in the process.
I did almost burn my house down.
And meanwhile, I've been buying up, costumes and memory cards for my camera, and so we've invested quite a lot that we haven't put in the spreadsheets yet, Ferro. And I think if you really took a cold hard look at the numbers, we are quite far in the red. But we're doing this to share the Christmas love.
Exactly, it's about putting it out there, and again,
to share the joy and fun, because we both had such a good time on the Gauntlet, the stream, didn't we?
Yeah.
And now it's a chance for you to bring that home.
And I can tell you, just imagine you're a group of friends, family, office scenario. You just drop the Gauntlet. Mm-hmm. Wow, who's this guy? That's what people are saying. This is a cool person. And
we've seen people show up with board games before, and they've always been quite fun. But this time, it just blew our socks off. The Gauntlet. We'll always remember the first Christmas we played that somebody threw down the Gauntlet.
Exactly, and then Uncle Dave, he's saying, "Where can I purchase this? Is it available to buy in any retailer?" And you're like, "No, this is a limited edition, one of 30. One of 30."
Yeah.
Right, Luke.
Thank you very much, Ferro. And I tell you what, I will play the advert out, so you've got another chance to revel in the acting of my mates from church. But don't forget, if you're interested, and we are going to have to just accept the number of orders that we've manufactured between now and Christmas. So get in quickly, I would say, right, Ferro? Make sure that you email.
Just to be clear, because of the lead times for the manufacturers,
Yeah.
If we will probably not be able to get any additional cards beyond
Before Christmas.
Before Christmas. So if you want to do it as a present or for family gatherings,
and if you really want to, if you want to guarantee that you get a set at all, we may just next year produce a modified version. So first run might be a collector's item. So
exactly.
But it's the Gauntlet board game. Let me make sure that's correct.
Just play the ad again.
boardgame@gmail.com.
Gauntlet, the board game @gmail.com. Get in touch and just drop us a line. Don't worry about what the email says, and then we'll take it from there. If you've got nothing else to say, Ferro, I say we finish out by playing the ad.
Yes, and thank you very much, everyone, listening us to waffle on for an hour. And even if you're not going to buy, really appreciate all of the kind words in chat. It does mean a lot. After you put quite a lot of time and effort into something like this. So yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Looking for a game that will turn those dull moments into wholesome friendship fun? Yes? I'm throwing down the gauntlet to boredom.
Humans can't exist without experience.
The Gauntlet is a speaking game where you put forward the best arguments to some of life's trickiest questions.
It is acceptable to talk during movies at home.
Absolutely.
That's a toughie. You might have the gift of the gab, but it's the king who decides who wins. It's the king who decides who wins. Work with your teammates to see if the honorable loyalists will hold firm, or if the conniving conspirators will have the day.
Because it's the only way that we then.
Gauntlet, the board game. Only $39.99. Email gauntlettheboardgame@gmail.com.